Hey guys, it's Matt. Watch this. Just go to YouTube. Just type Greta. Just one word. Greta. And here's what the system gives us. What more evidence is needed that everything is controlled? And I mean globally. A little girl gives a speech about climate change. And you go to YouTube, Google, and you just type Greta, nothing else. If you typed Elizabeth, you wouldn't get as many endless stories about the Queen. If you typed Thor, which there is no other, and he's been around for thousands of years, you probably wouldn't get so many consistent results. Although I haven't done that, but you get the point. Endless, just by typing Greta. Endless. And people don't understand. We live in a system that is planned and controlled right down to the dotting of every I and the crossing of every T. People believe they're independent media sources out there just running around trying to report, trying to do right by you and me, doing the best they can to bring forth information and altruistically doing right. And oh geez, even Obama. I mean, this thing is so crafted. It is remarkable how people can't see right through this. Nothing hits this big so quickly unless it's exactly what Mount Olympus wants. Now you know this, but you guys know basically everything I'm saying, but who knows if this video can find its way to somebody that just doesn't understand how the world works and say, yeah, how is this possible? The Greta phenomenon. See, the Greta, just a little girl gives basically an acted out speech. I'm not sure if it's a complete act or it's possible she's been brainwashed and she has been rummaging around these climate rallies since she was about 5, so she might completely believe it at this point. But it's also, I believe, a combination of both. I mean, she's been there from the beginning, the little Greta creature. So, at this point, I would say they probably indoctrinated her and introduced her, and she just believes it at this point. Whether she believes all of it or not, it's a slow process of brainwashing. Deep down in her subconscious or unconscious mind, she knows that her role, her ticket to power, fame, and everything she wants is through climate. So whether she believes it or not, and originally started as an actor, her subconscious is going to convince the frontal part of the brain that everything is true. It must be true. This is her role for the rest of her life, and she must believe it. You don't think the ego mind and the frontal lobes, the idiot brain that thinks using language handed down to us so it keeps us in a box like English, you don't think that can be fooled and manipulated and lied to by the unconscious, subconscious, other parts of what you call mind? Look at a young man who's head over heels in love slash lust. Everybody around him tells him how much trouble this girl is. Can he see it? No, he can't. Then that's just a first grade example. She's probably convinced at this point that about everything she presents regarding this climate agenda. And so I guess I'll take it back a bit. What looked like a complete act, and she knows how to play the camera. She probably believes most of it at this point. Although, why does it have to be all or nothing? There's an element of an act in this Greta that's obvious when you see the you've stolen my childhood. Ah! or she's possessed. I mean, literally, I don't, I'm not into the, I don't talk about that stuff much, or who knows how many demon type egregores or just, succubuses and incubuses are going in and out of this thing is like a creature at this point. I don't see a little girl. I see something far darker when she gives a speech. I mean, you want to talk? You could, if you, let's say you had a $50 million budget to make a horror movie about a, you could write it in an hour. You just here's the little girl you're going to use, and how easy if you were the director and you had no directing experience, how easy would it be to make if this was your actor, you could make her into the most evil little girl for your movie. She wouldn't have to do anything, just show up. I mean, this is the scariest little thing I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know how they do it, guys. Like, look at this. How did they, when they started grooming her for this at 5 or 6, I don't know, whatever she is today, 15, I have no idea. But how did they know she would end up looking exactly the part, like a pissed off evil? How'd they know? But they knew. I mean, whatever is behind the scenes here, guys. Talked about it many times. That it's not of regular men and women. There's some other things going on we just simply don't understand. This I don't know what this is. This MAGA hat thing, or with the American Indian. I mean, it's so obvious that when things come up like this, they're so staged, they're so planned, and the people believe it's all real. Now I don't know what page I'm on, guys, but all I did was type in Greta. I mean, what the heck's this? Time? I mean, are you kidding me? So right now, the way these sick puppet masters on Mount Olympus are laying this stuff down onto the world, there's not a person in history, maybe Hitler, or maybe this is a reincarnation of Hitler. I was almost saying there's not a person in history where you could just type in the first name of the person and have endless videos come back. I'm up to 7. Here's 8 on YouTube. Probably Hitler. But would it, I mean, I'm not going to sit here all day and go to 10, 15 pages, 20 pages, 50 pages. Would Greta pass Hitler right now? And the fact that Greta is in the same ballpark as the most famous first name people in history, when you would do a search like this, is ridiculous, overwhelming proof that we absolutely live in a 100% controlled one world system. This proves it. Think about it. No matter what a little girl said, no matter how convincing she was or how passionate some people think she was, giving a speech at a UN conference, it's not entertaining enough, good enough, impactful enough to get this much press unless the press is 100% controlled. Show this to people around you. What would they say back to me? That it was just so good. It was the Super Bowl doesn't get this much when you just scroll through YouTube the next day. The greatest moments of the biggest moments in history wouldn't get this much. And she's not that good. I mean, it's not that entertaining. It's not that impactful. You have stolen my childhood. It's not. It's just not that interesting for it to dominate every single page of YouTube. There's that fraud Dinesh D'Souza. These guys that that pop up, these who seem like they're on our side. It's all controlled, guys. Ben Shapiro. Oh, he's always taking the other side. Conservatives love people like that. It's all part of the act. It's all part of the act, whether they know it or not. Dinesh D'Souza. That's just always his role. Dartmouth graduate. Saw his movies, Hillary's Future or Hillary's America, and I thought, oh, this guy's one of the few guys fighting for us when I saw the movie Hillary's America. I know it's 100% controlled, and things are going on here the likes of which we can't even understand. It's not just men and women in the back room. I know I'm losing a few people going, oh, well, this guy sounded smart, but now he believes in little green men in the back room pulling levers. I didn't say little green men. I said there's something else going on that we don't understand, the likes of which the regular human that's been raised in this country doesn't understand. You think of anybody that got triggered to that, or he just thinks little green men. So I mean, there is a lot potentially outside the box that our brain was put in as a child that could be happening, that just doesn't, that explains a lot of this that we're just not privy to. It's not. I didn't say little green men. Greta Van Fleet. Now it switches over to this, whoever the heck that is. But what are we on? I mean, we're still getting some Greta Thunberg. Um, we're on 10. 10 pages, basically solid. 10 pages solid. And so I don't know who this Greta Van Fleet is. I have no idea. But this just also proves how the entire media, or Google, YouTube, and what we think is people just reporting the news, how it's totally stacked and manipulated. Because the way we were always told about websites, the things that has the most hits and the most time on the web and the most weight, that will still, if you just type Greta, should outrank. But no, YouTube, Google, and all the news outlets, they whatever the agenda of the month is, they'll push everything aside to put up what they want. That's why whenever you try to tell a friend or a family member about something to do with 9/11, for example, and they have the cognitive dissonance sets in, and they go to try to debunk you, and they immediately go to the web, and the web is set up to bring back all the debunking websites at the top of the search results. So immediately, back in the day, 2007, 2009, 2010, the popular mechanics article about 9/11, that comes up first. It proves all the conspiracy theorists are completely out of their minds. Metabunk and that monster Mick West will come up showing all of these conspiracy theorists are out of their minds. So the person says, well, I did my own research. This happened to me. Somebody came back to me and said, well, I did my own research. And I found there are really convincing or really well-written, intelligent articles that explain away everything you presented. Matt, there's an explanation for everything you presented because I researched it myself. Well, that's exactly why they plant those websites at the top of all the search results. Because we've all been told, Glenn Beck has been telling us, and all these frauds have been telling us for a long time, to do your own research. We've been conditioned to think that's a good thing. When you hear somebody say, "Don't trust me, do your own research," I haven't said that for a long time, because that's them or the system telling you to go do your own research, and then the system will have their own websites, their own shill websites at the top of all the search results. So you do your own research and just have yourself convinced that what the system is saying is true, because they know research is going to be nothing other than the web. Do your own research. Nobody's going to go to a library or anything. So I don't say do your own research. I say the opposite. Trust this channel. I do the research. I look into things. I mull things over for days and weeks and look at things in different angles. And many of you, still have the matrix job and you have kids, and I don't have that. And I have more time to think this stuff through. And I don't have all the conclusions, but I say don't do your own research. Come to me. I'll say the opposite. Anybody that says do your own research hasn't thought it through, because that just leads you to system sources of research. Where am I going to do my own research? Anderson Cooper's 360. Where am I going to do my own research? Following Don Lemon around Peachtree Street, drunk, looking for men in Atlanta. I mean, what am I going to? Where am I going to do my own research? You can't. Your own, here's where your own research is: inner knowing. Your own research is your inner tuning fork. What does your gut say? The term gut feeling comes from a reason. I mean, it comes that term exists for a reason. Gut feeling. It's understanding where or knowledge that comes from something other than the brain, the frontal lobes, the brainwashed mind, the part of the mind that's put into the box of the English language. English language was planned and laid out in advance. It was just laid out in advance. So millions of people would think in a certain way and basically do the bidding of whatever this system wants. And the system is not of regular men and women, just regular men and women at the Trilateral Commission running around and putting numbers into license plates. There is some weird shit going on that's so far beyond that. Even they might not fully understand it, but they kind of have a finger on a few buttons. Um, you know, the eventually those what are those three, Marsha, Will, and Holly, got stuck down in the land of the lost. They kind of eventually got a sense as to how those colorful light pads worked and what interdimensional doorways they opened. Remember that Land of the Lost, that creepy show? They didn't know as much as the slee stacks, but eventually Marsha, Will, and Holly got an idea how to that these little light panels open up interdimensional doorways, and I think this might be what we call the control structure. They might understand a few levers. I don't think they understand all of it, um, but who knows? Who knows? So anyway, guys, this is just not possible if we live in the world that they say we live in. This isn't possible in a world with free press. This is an endless result of this Greta creature. Isn't possible if everything they present to us is as it's presented. Thanks for listening.